Hello. Hey everybody, you're very welcome to today's video. Now, whether you're brand new to Microsoft Flight Sim or indeed you've been flying for years, well, there's some settings that are very easy to overlook. Today's video, I'm going to show you 10 Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 settings I wish I knew earlier. Simple changes that quietly make the sim better. We hope. Let's check them out. Okay, so we're going to start off at the world map. You might be saying, Murph, really? Well, check it out. It's easy enough to navigate around the world map. And you kind of click with your mouse, drag, you can zoom in, zoom out, or use your controller to navigate. But there's other options here available, and something very frustrating. You're trying to check out some scenery, and you're like, oh, there's clouds everywhere. If you navigate to the lower right-hand side of the screen, just above the Start Flight and EFB panel, well, we have a couple of icons. The first one being Legend, the second one being Map Layers, and the third one being Filters. Now, filters, this will appear airports or turn them on or turn them off so they don't appear on the map. We have our Map Layers, they'll show you do you want a blended view, a map view, or indeed a satellite view. And then we have the Legend, explaining what everything looks like. We're going to focus on the map layers, and in here, click on Advanced. Inside, we can actually change what the map is showing us. It can show us clouds, wind, and precip, or nothing at all. So for example, you can see here we have a weather layer set to clouds. Well, if we move it across, this is going to show us precip, the wind, or just turn it off. We can have the wind effect. We can see high winds, low altitude winds, or even ground speed winds. And once you're happy with it, you can even change the map layer from here. So it's blended at the moment, meaning when I zoom out versus when I zoom in, you'll see that it's blended to transition from a map view down to satellite. If we go back in, Advanced, we change it from blend just to be satellite. Once we click out, well, we're back to the normal world map. Okay, next we're going to look at using GPS coordinates. Now, before we use our GPS, you can also zoom anywhere you want on the map. You can literally select anywhere at all in the world. If you click on that area, set it as your departure. If you look up here to the top, you have some options. See this drop-down menu? We have either airborne at 1500 feet, on the ground shut down, or on the ground ready for takeoff. If you select on the ground shut down, or indeed ready for takeoff, when you start the sim, you start the flight, your aircraft will load in on the ground at that exact location, which could be the middle of a field. But let's say, for example, we want to fly to a GPS coordinate. Maybe you're looking at Google Maps. Well, if we bring in Google Maps and we have a look, and let's say we want to find, I don't know, we'll go down to Cork here. And if we zoom in and we want to go down to Parkyqueeve, well, if you were to right click using Google Maps, you'll notice that you get a latitude and longitude number up at the very top. If you click that once using a left click, it should copy it straight to your clipboard. Then if we come back into the sim, we have a search location bar. And if we just Control V to paste, it'll find the location for you. If you click on it, let the map zoom in. We're going to set that as our arrival, and that's going to fly it directly to where that GPS location is. You can add it into your EFB or you can add it to your flight plan, but that's how we can use GPS coordinates. Next up, we're going to look at customizing your aircraft. Once we go to our aircraft selection screen, well, we have a couple of options. I'm going to select the good old Cessna 172, and we're going to select it from here. We'll then go to the configure button. And once we're in the configuration screen, this is where we can change the type of aircraft. Is it a cargo, passenger, all that sort of stuff. We can select a livery. We can also select our fuel and payload. But over in the identification, this is where we can change our tail number and it will display it inside the sim. So for example, if we want to go for, something local to me, we save it. If we go back into livery selection, you'll now see your new tail number positioned on the aircraft. Next up, we're going to look at disabling the co-pilot avatar. Let's say you're in your aircraft, you look right or you look behind you, and there is a co-pilot avatar scaring the absolute bejaney out of you. Well, to do this, go up to where your gamer tag is on the top of the screen. Select in here, and you can go to Customize Identity. On this screen, if you navigate over to co-pilot, all you need to do is select the first bar on the left-hand side where there is no avatar. By selecting this, you've now removed a co-pilot from all of your free flights. Okay, next up is our walk around and pre-flight. Now we have a couple of options here. We can be in first person mode, or indeed if you like, you can change things into a third person mode. Now to go third person, all we need to do, we'll go into our settings once again. And what we're going to do, we're going to head on over to advanced options. And down at the bottom under experimental, you'll see the option allow third person view camera. Make sure that's turned on. Now we need to assign a button that's going to give us that command. So if you go into your controls, select the hardware that you want, and what we're going to do, we just type in view mode. Under view mode, it'll come up cockpit and external view mode. Bind that to a button or a key or a switch. Once you have it saved and you go back into your sim, you'll now see that you can transition from third or first person. So we move on to the pre-flight itself. A new feature in Flight Sim 2024 allows us to maneuver around the aircraft, go to the critical points, and we can click on the items to remove them before a flight. We can also interact with some of the ailerons and so on. But there's also a way in which you can make this process very fast. Again, if we go into our settings and we're going to go to controls and select the hardware wherever you want to have this, but we're going to just type in pre-flight. And what we can do, we have an option that says quick pre-flight, and we can bind this to a button, any amount of controls that we wish. I think by default it's Shift and C, so we'll put one in here. Wrong device, good man Murphy, we'll go keyboard, and this is going to be we'll do a new one here, so we'll do right shift and C. So we're going to go back, save, resume, and now when I press that button, it's going to be right shift and C in my case. It removes all of our pre-flight tie downs, pitot covers, all the stuff. Up next, we're going to have a look at our control profiles. This is a way that you can save your default bindings to every aircraft type. And to do this, come on up to your menu, we're going to click on controls. This is going to list all your devices down the left hand side. If you go down, you'll see your preset configuration for that hardware. So let's say, for example, we've now configured what the keyboard does in terms of saving camera positions or removing our pre-flight or even enabling third-person view. But we want that now to be on every aircraft. So if you click on the gear cog in beside each of these profiles, we have an option to apply to all aircraft. So once you get your settings correct, you can now apply them to all the aircraft. But that's not all. You could have aircraft specific controls. For example, you could be in a fixed wing like we are here with the Cessna, or indeed you could be in a helicopter. But what we can do, once you have your control set up, you give it a name. For me, it's just default, but you can apply these control settings to each and every type of aircraft, be it airplanes, or if we load in with a helicopter, we'll see the option to apply to all helicopters. Just means that you have some of your default mappings, things like aileron, rudder, throttle, all of that stuff can be automatically pushed to different aircraft types. But that's not all. Let's say, for example, you wanted to back up all of your control settings. Well, there is a way we can do that locally. For the most part, Microsoft Flight Sim, well, they'll save all of your control settings on the cloud. But if you're one of those unlucky ones that, wake up one morning, I'd love a flight, you want to go flying, you load up the sim, and you have to completely reconfigure your controls. Well, hopefully this is going to help you. Now, to do this, it's actually outside of the simulator itself. So we need to go looking to where our community folder and our main sim installation is. So in order to find it, we're going to go into our PC and we're going to go into the drive in which we have the sim saved. Now, most of us, it's probably in our local C drive. So we're going to go in here. We're going to come down to users. We're going to go to your username. And in here, it's important. We have this view button. Make sure that you're showing hidden items because they tend to hide these so we don't break them. So make sure you're able to see hidden items. And in here we go into app data. We're going to go local all the way down to packages. Inside packages, we're going to find a folder that has Microsoft Limitless. This is your Flight Sim 2024 install. In here, we have a number of options. We can go into our local cache. That's where we're going to see things like, scenery indexes, and we can get into our community folder. But if you come down here to where it has system app data, there are two folders in here. Now you go in, helium, there's nothing. But this WGS, this folder is a saving of every single control bind you've made to every single bit of hardware, to every single bit of aircraft. Once we open it, again, you've two folders. You've one with a whole load of numbers, and then you've one with letters. One with numbers you want. Now, it's not very easy to follow along with this, but if you were to go in and find where you have two files, one says container, one is a whole load of numbers. Let's go for the numbers. When we open this, we can use Notepad. And when we drag this guy across, well, we can see this is what the file is actually telling us. So this item belong to my Winwing Orion throttle base. And these are all the inputs and settings that I've set up. And that's everything from control curve responses to button presses and all that jazz. And we don't need to worry too much what it says. We just need to be aware, well, this is where the folders actually live. They're inside System App Data WGS. So what I tend to do, kind of once a fortnight or whatever, I'll copy this WGS folder. It's not terribly big, it's like 14 megabytes. I'll do a copy and I'll paste it somewhere safe. In the event that the sim, for whatever reason, loses my control inputs, well, I got a backup right here. Next up, we're going to have a look at the in-sim ATC. If we want to turn this off, well, again, into our settings, and what we're going to do, we're going to navigate over to assistances. Scroll down, we have some options down the bottom. You'll see AI radio communications and ATC enforce flight plan. I tend to turn both of these to off. Then, if we go back into general, come down to sound, this is where we'll have some options for character voices. This tends to be the level of ATC and also your co-pilot voices. I turn those right down. Now, if you're doing something like career mode, well, have these turned on. But if you're just in free flight and you don't want to be listening to the built-in ATC, well, that's how you turn it off. Next up, we're going to take a look at removing our HUD when it comes to our external view. Now, some people like having this here. You can see your map, airspeed, the engine RPM, fuel, angle of attack, and we have options here for flaps, trim, altitude, and vertical speed. However, some folks, well, they're not a huge fan of this. So to turn it off, if we hit the escape key, we'll go to settings. And in settings, we're going to navigate down to where it has our flight interface. From here, we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you can see where it has HUD in cockpit view. You can have that on or off, or indeed external camera, HUD in external view. Now, if we have it set to full, well, we're going to see everything. If we have it to minimal, we'll only see text, or you can just turn it off, and that'll remove all of the HUD details from your external cameras. So for our last setting today is something pretty cool. Save the best till last sort of thing. With Sim Update 4, they've introduced a native night vision camera. And as we have third-party developers updating their fleet, well, some of them haven't got to it just yet. But there's a way in which we can do it. Now, a note to this, if you're using Chaseplane, it doesn't seem to be active when Chaseplane is working. The workaround, of course, is disable Chaseplane. Now, to get this to work, we need to do two things. One, we need to go into our settings, and in our settings, we're going to go to controls. And if we just do a search, let's type in night. With this, it's going to show us all the new options we have for night vision. We can set intensity, increase or decrease it. We can turn it on or off or toggle. So I've set up night vision display on and night vision display off. That's the first bit. The second bit, before you even get into the simulator, we need to go off and make a small edit to a system file for the aircraft. Now, to do this, we're going to navigate back to the folder where we were. We're talking about this PC, local disk, users, your name, app data, local, packages, and Microsoft Limitless. Now in here, we're going to go into local cache, we'll go packages, and this is where we can see our community folder. For this, I'm going to go down to community. I'm going to scroll all the way down until I find this helicopter from Teog's hangar. This is the Alouette 3. It's one of my favorite. Go into the folder. We're going to go into sim objects, aeroplanes, the Alouette 3, and as we scroll down, we're going to find a small little configuration file called systems. Now, what I'd recommend, back this guy up before you make any changes. The changes needed, if you double click, it should open up in Word document or Notepad or whatever, and scroll down to the very, very bottom. There is a new variable we're going to put in, and this is exactly what it looks like. Night vision available equals true, intensity equals 30. You can play around with this value, 20, 30, 40, that's up to you. It's also important to note, available space equals space true. If you copy it exactly like that, put it into this notepad, save it, launch the sim, the aircraft is now configured. So once we have this set, we reload the sim, launch with our aircraft, and now we have a keybind to bring up night vision. The only problem with this, if you're using chase plane, it currently doesn't work with chase plane. You need to disable chase plane in order to get this night vision camera working. So hopefully chase plane will have an update that'll fix that. But if there are aircraft that you'd like to have this feature included, gives you a nice cockpit view as well. That's how you get night vision working for your aircraft. So there we have it. 10 things I wish I knew earlier when it comes to some of the settings inside Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. Really hope these have been helpful. Maybe you figured out something and it's like, that's how he did it. Don't forget, if you wouldn't mind terribly, do be sure to hit the little thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you're notified when our next video goes live. I want to thank you all so very much for taking the time out for watching today's video. And until the next time, you take care.